There's your to-do list. Book a call with the English Learner Portal and get some help. So let's talk about how English Learner Portal can support you. All right, so first introductions. My name is Kelly Ryder. I am the founder and lead facilitator for English Learner Portal. So just very, very briefly about me, I was a public school employee for 25 years. I started as an ESL teacher, became a classroom teacher, became a technology specialist where I did training on how to use PowerPoint, how to use different softwares for the teachers. And then I moved into an assistant principal role for a few years, moved from Maryland, moved to North Carolina, and opened a newcomer center in middle school and high school in a small community there. Then after a few years, missed my family, missed home, moved back to Maryland as an ESL specialist and then the ESL district coordinator for district in Maryland. In that time, I also was a WIDA licensed facilitator and did some traveling and training for the WIDA Consortium. Then in 2018, my opportunities to go around and work with districts and travel and meet people and spread the learning on a larger scale presented itself. So I left the school system and started English Learner Portal. And since then have been building and growing and working with schools and districts across the country and individual teachers across the globe, really. So that's a real quick background. So you know who I am, where I come from. What are we hearing? So every day I have conversations with school districts, school leaders, district leaders, individual teachers, and here are some of the most frequent comments or concerns that we're finding from teachers or from district leaders. Things like, my ELD team is feeling kind of lost in all the curriculum changes, right? And I'm not sure how to help them. So a lot of districts are adopting new English language arts, new math curriculum, and what we used to do as the English language development team with the other curriculum doesn't seem to fit right now. And these are very structured programs, and we don't know how to get that ELD in with the structure of our current programs. Also growth, right? We are new to having immigrant students, right? Or we've had immigrant students, but all of a sudden we have a lot more students than we used to have. And so my content teachers are asking for help. They're not sure what to do. They're feeling uncomfortable. My ELD teachers are asking for help because their caseload is growing and what used to work isn't working right now because it's just bigger. Our exit rates keep dropping, right? We need help revamping our program. So point one, point two have led to point three for some districts where you're feeling like I'm watching my data and we're just not where I want to be when it comes to English language proficiency growth each year and how many students we're exiting from our English language development program each year. And so we're looking for some support on what's missing, what could we be doing, how do we do better, what ideas are out there. And just one we hear a lot, I'm a new principal or I'm a new district administrator or a district administrator of a program that's growing and I need another pair of hands, right, to help get things on track. So many of the district leaders that I speak to are from districts where they are in charge of multiple departments. And so English language development isn't your only thing. And having another pair of hands to help out is always a plus. So if any of this sounds like something you can relate to, feel free to share that in the chat. Or if there's something else, a pain point for you or a challenge you're experiencing in your school, your district, feel free to share that in the chat as well. Right? We want to make sure we're staying up to date with what you need. So looking at the different things we're hearing from school districts, we have been working to put together programs and services to help support and take some of those challenges and give you really reasonable and relevant and effective and efficient ways to address your concerns. So let's get into what some of those would be. No matter what we do with the school or district, our promise is to create a transformation. If we're working with individual teachers, our promise is to create a transformation within you as the individual, how you see things, your mindset, the way you go about approaching your work day to day. As a district or a school, getting focused on language development in really practical and effective ways that aren't overwhelmingly time consuming, that streamline ways for your teachers to work together and get everyone on board with making sure that language development is part of every day and making sure that all of our teachers are on the same page about how we can all be helping to create success for our multilingual students as they are learning language and content at the same time. So I already gave you a brief explanation of where I come from. So my journey through school systems over time. And I feel very lucky, very blessed, very fortunate to have had a number of different roles in school districts, in different districts. So I feel like I have a good perspective of what's going on from various viewpoints. I get where the teachers are coming from. I have been in that school administrator position. I've been in the district level position and in the WIDA world of traveling and looking at things from more of the research side and the higher levels of our language development. And so our goal at English Learner Portal is to pull all of that and all of those different perspectives together to create programming that really meets the needs. So what do we do day to day here at English Learner Portal? I would say we spend 30% of the time developing the expertise of English language development teachers. So if you have recently hired new ELD teachers or you have grown a bit over the last few years and it's hard to keep up with making sure that your English language development teachers get that targeted professional development. They are always included in school-wide PD when it comes to curriculum and things like that, but are they getting the professional development for English language development expertise? Are they staying up to date in the research and how it's applied and how it can be woven into what's happening day to day in the school? We would spend more of our time, I would say, developing the expertise of content teachers. I think part of that is because there are just more content teachers than there are ELD teachers. And I love this part of the job too. I mean, the ELD teachers, they're like your people, right? That's me. That's been my career. You know, we're a group. But when it comes to helping content teachers, it is very rewarding for me because first they are reaching out and saying, I want to know how to do better. I have students in front of me that I'm not sure how to best meet their needs, right? Their heart is there, their desire is there, they're conscientious, and they just need a little bit of direction to make such a big difference in what they do day to day. and they want to be included. Our multilingual students, our English learners, are with their content teachers the majority of the day, if not the full day. And so this is a group of people who can really make a big difference in that language development process with the right tools and information. So we start with making small tweaks, and then we work our way into building up their expertise as we continue to work with them. We also work in the area of creating and supporting plans that address the mental health of our students. Now, for me, on my part of English Learner Portal, I'm the instructional person. So anything that has to do with language development, literacy development, reading, writing, content area, then those are the people that I work with. When it comes to supporting plans that address the mental health of our students, we have two other specialists, both happen to be named Laura, Laura Gardner and Laura Gonzalez, who work in those areas and work with schools and districts to develop programs and just build awareness of what our immigrant students are experiencing in that journey of coming to the United States. And then once they are here and established, or even second, third generation, of what that immigrant experience is like, what immigrant families are focused on, and the challenges that it brings in working trying to go between cultures and school, especially right now, there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of pressure going on in the immigrant communities, and being able to support our schools in what we can do and get in place to help our students through tough times and our families. So for the most part, that is Laura Gonzalez. And if you are here today, you've been on our email list, and Laura Gonzalez will be doing a webinar, a session later this month, talking about mental health support for our students during these bumpy times. So stay tuned for that. Creating and supporting family engagement plans and expanding cultural proficiency. This usually falls, Laura Gonzalez a little bit, but to Laura Gardner and her group at Immigrant Connections. That's her consulting group, but we have worked together since the very beginning since our days in the school system, and then the very beginnings of English Learner Portal. And Laura Gardner's focus is twofold: family engagement. So if you're looking for ideas and ways to partner with immigrant families and get to know the cultures in your building better, then she's your go-to person. She also works in the areas of cultural immersion, going to different school districts and taking teachers on field trips into just, multicultural grocery stores or religious buildings or different experiences, so they get to know their immigrant communities better. She does work around refugee services and around the different populations that have come to the United States through refugee programs, and just the ins and outs of the different cultures represented in our schools. So I think together we have a pretty robust group of experts who can cover all pieces of school. And we also have others we work with when it comes to special education or other topics that might come about that we can go to as well. So we'd like to be able to help you from whatever's worrying you. I'm going to go through some examples of work we're doing in the field with different districts, just so you get an idea of what the possibilities are. Might help you brainstorm things that you want to think about as you plan for the upcoming summer or school year, things to talk about with your colleagues. So first, I talked about developing the expertise of your English language development teachers, your ELD teachers. And as I said, that's my heart. That's where I spent most of my career. And so we are following them through a pathway. We start in districts that require the ESOL praxis for teachers to get their license or their certification. If your state requires the ESOL praxis, then we can support you. We work with a number of districts, a number of states, and we have a praxis preparation cohort, the ESOL praxis. And what we do, we work together once a week for 5 weeks live via Zoom, and then they have a lot of asynchronous content, and we have over a 95% pass rate of anyone who is coached by us passes the praxis. So we've been helping districts get more teachers qualified to be ELD teachers because we've had such rapid growth, and it's hard in a lot of places to find qualified teachers. Then once teachers are hired, we like to work with our new hires to save them the time of having to learn everything the hard way. Get them going with what in their background works best with the current models that we're using in ELD, what they need to know, what to focus on, and how to get the most growth from their students as they get started. Then as teachers gain experience and get comfortable, we continue to work with our ELD teachers to build their expertise and build their capacity for coaching others, right? Once you become more of an expert, then how can you help others develop their expertise, whether it be other ELD teachers or working with your content teachers? How do you plan? How do you co-plan? How do you coach another teacher who comes to you for support? Right now, we are getting ready to start a new program that falls under our expanding expertise program, and that is the Functional Language Planning Expert Intensive. Our Functional Language Planning Expert Intensive program is a 12-week program, about 2 hours a week commitment where we are working with teachers, ELD teachers, district leaders, administrators, content teachers, anyone who wants to develop their expertise. And we are going to work for the next 12 weeks together to talk about how to use systemic functional linguistics research that fits better into what our content area curriculum is demanding of students right now. The functional language planning approach is a much better fit than a lot of what we have been doing. So we'll be coaching a group through this. When it comes to our content teachers, as I said recently, this is where we're spending more of our time in developing the expertise of content teachers. And this can take on a lot of forms. This school year, there's a trend to be more in person, where past school years we did more online, live, or asynchronous. It's constantly changing, and we have all the content to adapt to what schools need. We do in-person workshops, half day, full day workshops. There are some schools, if they're within a reasonable distance, working with some schools doing 1-hour staff meetings, 90-minute staff meetings, job embedded coaching, going into the classroom with teachers, giving feedback, watching what's happening, planning together. We also have a tool that we use called SIBME, SIBME, that allows us to do virtual coaching, where teachers can submit a video and go through our portal, and it has all kinds of AI enhanced feedback tools that we can use. It's amazing. We can do some really quality coaching from a distance. It's much more cost effective, saves on travel costs, saves time. It's much more flexible for the teachers than trying to find time during the school day for them to be able to meet. It just makes everything more flexible. We also do virtual workshops. I've done many a workshop via Zoom. I'd like to keep those under 3 hours because 3 hours or more of sitting and listening on Zoom without enough interaction is difficult for anybody to follow. But we do a lot of 1 hour, 90-minute, 2 hour virtual workshops where we can combine groups from all over the country or work with one group specifically. Again, a little more cost effective because travel isn't involved, just the time that's involved. We have a great amount of asynchronous coursework. Through COVID and after, we really developed our asynchronous course content, and we have a number of 5, 15, and 45-hour courses that teachers can take. They can start anytime, take their time going through it. We have districts who sign up cohorts for our asynchronous courses. Just gives a little bit more flexibility in when the teachers are working on those, especially if they need some graduate credit, something for license renewal, all of those. And all of that can be found on our website. If you go to EnglishLearnerPortal.com, at the top it says professional development, and you'll see our list of asynchronous courses there. I'm going to walk through a few examples of what's happening. So if you're thinking, what might our model look like, or how could we work together in the future? I know now's the time where we start brainstorming for future budgets and future school improvement plans, getting all of that together. So I'm going to share a couple examples of what's going on with us right now. Might be good models. They're very flexible. Every school or district is a little bit different because their constraints are a little different or their teachers' needs are a little bit different. But here, our middle school, we're working with teachers in monthly grade level team meetings. So they meet regularly in their grade level teams, and the principal has assigned one of those meetings per month to work with myself and another coach, where we're giving just little bits of professional development at a time. It's about an hour that we meet with them, and then we spend the rest of the day doing classroom visits, walkthroughs, giving feedback, spending time with the teachers and seeing what they're doing and giving them feedback on what they've tried since the last meeting we had. Then we return, we are in that building, Amy and I, the other coach and I, 4 days a month. And then working also with the English language development team specifically. They had some concerns around their growth rates, the growth targets and the exit targets. And so we are working together also with the ELD team to talk about their model, what's included in their class periods, what they do as push-in, and that kind of coaching and feedback as well. In another district, we have a different model, similar to the middle school, but a little bit different. We kicked off our partnership together with a half-day full staff development time. So we had about 3.5 hours together, and we took care of giving everyone a base level common understanding of the language development process, what the proficiency levels mean, what are the big things they need to focus on in content instruction, how they can partner with their ELD teachers, and specific strategies for increasing student interaction. Following up that that half-day staff meeting, we then have now monthly staff meeting PD. So once a month during their allotted staff meeting time, we go into the staff, do a short follow-up, what have we done since the last meeting, here's another layer to add to that, and we add a little bit to their understanding each time we meet monthly. In between our monthly meetings, we put aside 1 hour's worth of asynchronous content. It is sometimes more examples of what we talked about when we were in person. Might be some video examples. It might be a new strategy to try. Depends on what our topic is that month. And they log in and work on that one piece of information during their team planning time throughout the month. And then again, we are following that up with in-person and virtual coaching. Both of those schools are focused on developing school-wide awareness of language development practices and everyone working together to boost language development and access to the content curriculum. In another elementary school at the beginning of last summer, we did 5 half-day summer PD boot camp. So Monday through Friday, we met from 8:30 to 11:30 every day. One day being the basics, what everybody needs to know about English language development. Then we focused on interaction strategies to get students talking and engaged. We spent a day on language of math, a day and 2 days on literacy practices, reading and writing, and literacy practices. And teachers could come to 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. It was up to them to sign up for which topics, which days. And we had a lot of fun that week. And it was nice because we had people who kept coming back and spending time together. Here we are talking about, this is one of our archdiocese partnerships that was based completely on coaching. They selected a number of teachers to participate in the coaching process, and we went in person to meet with those teachers and talked about what our coaching cycles were like. We did a six coaching meetings cycle. And we talked with them about what our coaching cycles were about, what we would be, how they would work. We set our first goal, like what do you want your coaching to be about? Each teacher had a little bit different goal in mind. And then we met weekly. The rest of our meetings were all virtual, so the teachers got to pick when it worked best for them. They took a video of their classroom weekly, sharing what the goal was and what we talked about. They uploaded that video to our coaching portal. And then when I see that they have a video loaded, I can go into the portal, I view the video, I can give time-stamped feedback so they know exactly my comment fits exactly with this spot in that classroom instruction. There's tons of resources, AI reports that we can generate from that if they're focused on teacher talk versus student talk, which is a goal we encourage when we're talking about language development, of course. The AI reports automatically generate the percentage of time, who's answering, boys and girls, types of questions, everything you could think of. And then we would talk about my feedback, how it went, what they tried, how they felt about it, revise their goal as needed, and then repeat that cycle for 6 weeks. This is a process that I completely enjoyed because I got to be part of watching a teacher try new things and get excited about it. One teacher was really focused on less teacher talk and giving ownership of some of the learning to the students. So it was fun to watch him and the students take on that role of taking over some of that responsibility for the learning. With another kindergarten teacher, we talked a lot about trying to get student-to-student interaction going, like how to support those students to get their get English going and get the academic language going, then raise the bar of their conversations. And we also coached on things like those simple management strategies and keeping students engaged, positive feedback. anything the teacher felt was needed at that time or I saw and could suggest. Sometimes what we're working on with a district is based on what the state says, right? So Hawaii and Colorado both have a 45-hour professional development requirement where teachers need 45 hours of English learner, multilingual learner related professional development to renew their licenses. And so both states have been offering our course. A Content Teacher's Guide to EL Success is one of our 45-hour courses. And teachers from those states are taking that course to then submit for their license renewal. We work with some districts on curriculum and assessment. We've worked with some districts where they wanted some literacy lesson sequences to help supplement their curriculum for students who are struggling with that entering level literacy to write some consistently. They just didn't have the staff to be writing curriculum and supporting schools and teaching, right, that need another pair of hands. So we help with some curriculum writing. In a couple other districts, we have been working with them to take their district assessments and create a beginning and intermediate level version of those assessments, adding in supports and making modifications as needed so that our beginning English speakers can show what they know about social studies or about science, and our intermediate students can have a bit of support to be able to express what they know. In another district, the middle school language arts coordinator asked if we could look at their district middle school language arts curriculum and find places where we could suggest where students would need supports and what kind of supports, because again, they just didn't have the human resources available to be able to take the time to do that. So we helped create a lot of supports to go with their middle school language arts curriculum. Earlier, I mentioned Dr. Laura Gonzalez, so we're talking about that mental health, social emotional wellness for our students. And just an example, this school district enrolled a group of people into her asynchronous course, creating a school program to support the mental health, where Laura walks them through what to consider, what to look for. Here are some resources, and they leave with a plan for their district. And that's been really fun watching that team work together with Dr. Gonzalez and come up with some solid support for our students so we're not so reactive, but we are prepared and ready should a student need our support. Just recently, today, we're working on this, getting a group started. It's exciting that there is a Ukrainian refugee group in Ohio, right? The refugee agencies, two different agencies there that are working with refugee resettlement are now consulting with Laura Gardner, who I told you is our family engagement and culture person. She has background of working in the refugee resettlement field, so she's the perfect person for this. And she has an asynchronous course. It's more than just language. And she has family engagement courses, and they are sponsoring over 250 people from that area to participate in Laura's courses to help build their understanding of refugee families, the needs of refugee families, particularly in this area, the Ukrainian families. In this district in Maryland, 2 to 3 times a year, depending on the year, depending on the timing and the budgets, they select one of our 15-hour courses, and I do a live kickoff with them. They do most of the content asynchronously. Then we come back at the end for a live wrap up, and we do that a couple times a year. It might be language and math. We might be talking about writing or newcomer instruction for newcomers. And this district in particular, again, a couple of Laura Gardner's courses under unaccompanied youth and understanding refugee students and families courses they've enrolled. so many teachers. I'd say it's probably been about 4-year partnership with them, about 250 teachers a year. And the same for a neighboring district there, where they're enrolling teachers in Praxis Prep and family engagement, paraeducator workshops. Again, districts where we have multiple projects going on together, whether it be PD, putting ELD teachers and content teachers together, that scaffolding, helping them get teachers ready to hire, right? Once we start working together, we like coming up with more ways to work together.